Welcome back to the channel that discusses the language of the Holy Spirit. This is episode 3, and we'll be talking about God's correction. So, in the New Testament, the seal of God is mentioned as being on the heart, as the promise of the life to come. This, of course, is a reference to the solar plexus, the heart, the river of love flows through. And the apostles obviously experienced this, and they knew, as I did after the awakening experience that I had, I knew what home was, and I didn't want to be here. And it took me many years to get over the fact, or to understand, as above, so below, the Lord's Prayer. I didn't understand God wanted to use me now that He had me. I wanted to come home, a little child, still drinking milk. And of course I would learn over the years. And the other seal is mentioned in Revelations. It's not spoken about very much, but it's spoken about twice in Revelations as the seal upon the forehead. Now we know there's a mark on the hand and the forehead, but God has seals, one on the heart and one on the forehead. Now we don't have a lot of information about this. The only reference is despise not the correction of the Lord. And what does that mean? How is it that the Lord can correct us if He's not here anymore, but He's yet in the Holy Spirit and with us who have the Holy Spirit? Very difficult and confusing. But if we look to the early Christian art, we see the halo. And we think the halo represents holy men, but actually it's a portrait of the Holy Spirit in men, bringing them to holiness, because that is literally what the Holy Spirit's job is to bring a man to perfection, as it's spoken about in the New Testament. And so what I experienced, again, read the testimony, it's full of how the Lord touched me here over and over again as a source of, first and foremost, pay attention. He wants me to stop and have a look, check what's being said to me or what I'm thinking. And He has stopped my thinking, especially when I've been dwelling on something and I've felt Him a pressure on my head. I know it's Him from my experience. I can't deny it. Again, read the testimony. You'll understand why I say those words. So the halo again represents both three things: pay attention, correction, and direction. And I'll give you a couple of antidotes. So reading the testimony, you'll find these stories and many more like it. But one of the things that happened to me is I was walking home. I was at a friend's house, just freshly awoke to what was going on, very much that doe-eyed Christian, just full of zeal for God. And my friends were making fun of me. And I left their house and I was walking home and I was pretty dejected. I wanted to go home and have a pity nap. That was my intention, was to go home and have a pity nap. And I was only about 4 blocks from home. As I was walking, I was dwelling. And I got to a corner about a half a block from my house, and I felt a strong pressure just push right here, and I stopped right in my tracks. And because I'd had experience with this prior, which you can read about, I knew what to do. The first thing was just stop, check myself, check my thoughts, but the pressure wouldn't go away. So what I did was I closed my eyes and I turned in a circle very slowly, full 365 degrees, and I was looking for a clear spot, and I found one, and I tested it. Didn't open my eyes. I tested to the left, pressure, I came back to the clear spot, went to the right, pressure, came back to the clear spot, opened my eyes. And I was walking 90 degrees away from my house. I could see my house to my left, and I knew that I was to go that way because I'd had the experience before. However, because I was pouting and having a hard time with being ridiculed, I, for the first time since all this began, said, no, I'm going to go home and have a nap. And I took one step. I didn't even get the step out. I turned my body and lifted my knee, and a ring came down around my head and squeezed me as if my head was in a vice. And I dropped down to one knee, and I said, okay. And I turned around and I walked up that street, hunched over, because the pressure was on me. It did not let up until I was 3/4 of the way up that block and on my way. And I would continue up that road, about 45 minutes, walking through a field about that far away, complaining. What am I doing going around telling people about this and about you in this way? And I must look like a crazy person. And all of a sudden I saw this man in this field that I was walking through. He was coming across, jogging very, very slowly, almost like a walking jog, in front of me, crossing my path about 20 or 30 feet ahead. And he had his eyes closed. And he obviously had Down syndrome. And he got to right in front of me, and he stopped, eyes closed. He turned towards me. He literally doused me just as I had doused in my direction, not 45 minutes earlier, to the left, to the right. After confirming, he opened his eyes. He looked at me, looked kind of confused, closed his eyes, turned back around to the way he was going, doused his way, and off he went. And I remembered speaking to a nurse in the smoking area of the local place, mental hospital, but you know, place that services people like that and helps take care of people suffering these things. And she was intrigued, and I thought to myself, I maybe don't really know the effect of who I touch and how I reach out to them.